All right, everybody, welcome to another edition of Average Joe's. Guess what? We're taking it back out to the garage today because we're setting up our Jeep for a tow vehicle situation. We're going to tow it behind our rig so we can take it camping with us. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to set it up with some Maximus-3 tow/recovery loops. So let's head out to the garage and get started. The Maximus-3, this is the tow recovery loops. So it gives you a good, well, a semi-good parts list of what it comes with. So it comes with the spacers and the loops themselves, one for each side. It comes with the hardware you need to bolt that on. It comes with the breakaway flange nuts. It comes with some hardware to hold it on temporarily while you're putting it together. The tools we need a 18 millimeter socket for the bumper bolts and nuts. And we need an 8 millimeter socket for two of the bolts that hold the skid plate on. All right, so underneath the bumper, there are 8 of these little trim bolts. So these are the little plastic trim piece fasteners. You could do it with a screwdriver. We actually have a trim piece removal kit. And all we want to do is pull these down and then pull the other piece down as well. So again, it's a kind of a close-up for what's going on underneath there. When these are together, what we're doing is we're pulling this out so that we can free this up so it slides out of the hole. Once we put this back in, we'll push this bottom part in, and then we'll push that guy in there, and it pushes those guys out so that it stays. Okay, on top there are 2 of these, one on the passenger side, one on the driver's side. This one uses a little bit different tool. So we'll go ahead and pop those out. With my hand there. And it pops right out. Okay, right here we've got 8 millimeter bolt, one on the driver's side, one on the passenger side. We're going to go ahead and take those out. We should be able to pull the skid plate off. Okay, so we got those 2 bolts out. This guy should just pop right off. Alrighty. Okay, so there are 4 bolts, 1, 2, and then 2 on the other side. And it's the same on both sides. So we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4 on each side. And there's a clip here for the lights that we'll have to unclip, and then the bumper will come right off. So before we get too far in pulling the bumper off, we want to make sure we unclip the lights. So we're going to go ahead and do that now. Okay, so to unhook the fog lamps, all we got to do is push down on this, pull this apart. There we go. Now just loosen those bolts. Okay, so we got all 8 of the nuts off the back side of the bumper. We got the fog lamps unplugged. Should be able to just pull this out. Like that. Okay, so we ended up taking off the air dam / brush guard, whatever that is. It's 2 bolts on each side, piece of cake. Gives us more room to play down here when we start to install these things. We just took those off. Next, we're going to take off this, I guess it's a support. It goes along the frame. 1 bolt here. We're going to undo that. So once we get these off, this one piece off, we don't use this again. It doesn't go back on. So we're gonna take it off, set it aside, save it for a rainy day. Okay, next we've got the tow loop or the recovery loop and the spacer, 2 separate pieces. That fits in there just like that. And what they do is they give you a couple of bolts. So get that set on there. Just put these on real loose. Just to kind of hold it in place, and then we can work on the other bolts. Okay, so these guys have to stay pretty loose because you need to move this around quite a bit. This is the M10 bolt, the shorter bolt that actually fits in the threads. Get that in there loosely. There we go. Okay, because this one doesn't have a flange nut. It works with the threads on the back side here from the stock setup, so there's no flange nut. The one that goes in the bottom, it's going to have the flange nut that we're going to feed through on the back side. So we're going to tighten this up, finger tight a little bit. Okay, little trick that we learned, taping that flange nut that we're going to have to feed through this hole to meet up with this bolt. So it's taped on there, feed through here. Some fishing around, but we finally got her caught. Now we're going to tighten it down, and we'll tighten both of these down, and then we'll start drilling some holes. Okay, so got everything kind of loosely adjusted. We're trying to give it space on both sides here, and so it's not touching. Now we're going to go ahead and tighten these up. These two we've tightened already. We're going to tighten this guy up. So this top one, it's a little bit tighter. I backed it out and put it back in a couple of times. I was afraid I was cross-threading it. It just turns out that it's a pretty tight fit. So it's not doing any damage. It's just not, you can't finger tighten it. So we're going with the, what is this guy? 17 millimeter socket. So this guy and this guy, both 19 millimeter sockets. We're going to tighten everything up because we have to drill these holes. We want it to be exactly where we need it to be. So we're going to go ahead and tighten this up. And this other one they give you, I don't know why, but in the kit you have two different sizes. These are just temporary. They're made to hold it all together while you put it in place. But this guy right here is 18 millimeter. So one 17 millimeter, one 18 millimeter. We're going to get it tight, and now we're going to drill two holes. 1/2 inch bit right there and right there. We've got 2 more bolts to go, and then we'll move to the other side. So we're just going to use our center hole punch to mark where we want our 1/2 inch bit to start. So we got it right in the center of the hole. Give it a good push down. And then we've got ourselves a starting point. All right, we're just going to give it a quick shot of the old flat protective enamel on the inside where there's some bare metal. So we've got these nut keys that it comes with it. These actually break off when you're done with them, but they're used to fish it up there so that you can thread the bolt through and meet it up with the nut on the other side. So fish it up there, try to line it up, and then feed this guy through. Okay, we got the first guy threaded. Gonna keep it pretty loose because I think we need some space to get this guy worked in there and around side the back. Gotta give it a little bit of force. Try to line those guys up and just thread away. I'd start with the top one. The top one seems to be a little bit tougher to get threaded. Okay, so we got them both on there. Just gonna go ahead and tighten them down. Doesn't really give you a torque spec, but I'm gonna go pretty heavy on both. And then we're going to end up taking these guys out because remember that's where the bumper bolts back on. Now we've just got to get rid of these ends as close as we can to the bumper mount, and then whatever's left over, we'll shove it back in. Just kind of not work. And just kind of jam these guys back in. Go with a bigger bladed screwdriver. Let's take these guys back off. Okay, so in the instruction it says 442 millimeters from the center to the edge where you want to cut. It's about 17.4. We're going to try cutting it where this slot is on the plastic part of the bumper. Just cut the metal and see if that gives us a fit. If we can, we're going to be lucky. So we're going to go ahead and cut this and both sides, see if it fits. I'm starting with a hole saw for the drill to see if we can get a rounded edge on the bottom. Cut it with the hole saw, got a nice clean edge, and we're just going to go ahead and try to finish it with the reciprocating saw metal cutting blade. And then what we'll do is just use the file, clean up these rough edges on the metal, and then shoot it with some spray paint and try it out, see if it fits. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and put this piece back on. We took it off because we needed to access a lot of this stuff up in here, and it was a lot easier with this out. So a couple of clips. And these 2 bolts. And it's on. Oops. Okay, so we got it on. We got the bumper on. It took a little bit of finagling, not because of the hooks, because with the spacer, we created a little bit of a too tight of a gap for the bumper bolts to go through. So we actually had to ream that out of the spacer a little bit using the 1/2-inch drill bit, and it seems to be going on well. We're just going to tighten each one of there's 8 total bolts. We're going to tighten those evenly and bring the bumper back, make sure we plug it back in, and we should be good to go. Okay, so what we're aiming to do is take out this 2-inch section right here. So we're going to use this as the center point. We're going to use our hole saw to start us off, and then we're going to use a Dremel to finish the lines. So, oops. Okay, the modified plastic skid plate, we ended up cutting a full 3-inch groove out of there to get it to fit. We tried 2 at first, but that wasn't deep enough. 3 is perfect. So now it slides right back on. So we're going to go ahead and pop that sucker back on. Make sure it fits. There it is. So that's what it's going to look like when it's flush or when it's mounted. Just go ahead and put those trim screws in. Got a couple of these guys to go on. We're good to go. Set that in there. All right, everybody, there it is. The Maximus-3 tow/recovery hooks. We're going to use them for tow hooks. They fit up nice with the spacers. They go in pretty well. I would say we'll try to put some tips throughout the video so you know what size tools to use where. I think another thing we learned is when you're trimming, you know, trim and try to fit and trim and try to fit. It's a kind of an art, not a science. They don't give you exact measurements. And I can tell you, if you don't trim enough, it's hard to get things back together. We learned that with the bumper a little bit. We learned that with the trim pieces on the skid plate. But otherwise, not a bad installation. I love that the tow hooks are low profile, and I'm excited for the next step. So sometimes average is good enough.